Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Perfect. Good evening and welcome to the Long Run Show. It's not your usual lineup today, as you could see, but we are back for a lady special with the lovely Gemma, Mel and Claire, who is also known as Wild Ginger Running. So we will say hello to everyone in just a second, but I'm going to do all the housekeeping stuff first, ladies, just so it's out of the way. So firstly, thank you to our sponsors at Skechers for sponsoring the show, which is amazing. National Running Show, the 21st and 22nd of Jan, we're going to be there. It is 40 Run's 5th birthday, which is really exciting. So basically, we're going to be having a party at the stand. So if you want to come along and have some fun, we will see you there. The Long Run Show is also on stage on Saturday afternoon, and there is the Shakeout Run at the end of the day. So we're going to do a 5K, just get together and have a really lovely run. So if you are there and about, please do have a look on Strava. There's a group there. Let us know you're coming and we will see you there. And so tonight we're going to be talking about all things running, all things to do with ladies and running, actually, because we never get enough airtime. We never get enough kind of say about actually stuff that's really important to us. We're going to be talking about getting into running, running after pregnancy, safety. I'm sure will come up again, and all kinds of stuff. So please do put your comments in the side or on YouTube and Facebook. If you are using Facebook, please do click on that restream link so that we can see your name, and if not, please do just put your name at the end so we know who we're talking to. A couple of quick shout outs before we get into kind of chatting, but tomorrow is Alan, who is obviously one of the co-hosts on this show usually, his and Tracy Carter's 100th park run at Ipswich. So if you're around there, which is amazing, 100 each is incredible, so congratulations to them both. And if you are thinking about what to do tomorrow, because so many park runs are cancelled and it is pretty snowy and icy, that one is going ahead, and there'll be a load of 40 runners there, so do get involved. And then also Natasha Hallam, who we've spoken about on the show before, who is travelling, I think, around Asia at the moment. Yeah, she is, and I think she's a Surrey.
She is a Surrey satellite.
Yeah, she's doing a 10K in Chiang Mai this Sunday. So I want to give her a huge shout out because she's flying the flag for us over in Asia, which is amazing and super exciting. So good luck for that, and I hope it goes well. And we will get her on actually when she's back. I think she gets back early next year, Feb time. So we're going to try and get her on actually to talk about how it's been travelling and running in abroad and in foreign countries where you don't know the language and how that's worked for her. I think that's it in terms of like everything that I meant to have said. If I've forgotten something, I'm sure it will come back. And if you do want to get in contact with us, 40runs.com/long run is the way to do it at any point, kind of today, tomorrow, whenever. If you've got questions or you want to get in touch with anyone for the long run, that's the way. So, oh my God, that's 4 minutes of me just blurring now before I've forgotten to do something. So, hello, Mel, let's start with you. How have you been since we were last on?
Oh, well, I was trying to work out when it was we were last on and what we've done since then. And I realised it was the night before we all went off to do the Severn Bridge run with the Extreme Park Run. And it's not going to be long before we're doing another one of those at Great Yarmouth in January. But so since then, I've done Great North Run, done some volunteering at Kew, volunteering at London Marathon, for the Kids Mile as well, which was amazing to see all those kids starting out on their running journey and some of their parents running alongside them. That was really fantastic to see. And then obviously all the 40s at the London Marathon, cheering them on after we collected all their baggage from them over at the start. Did Great South for the first time.
Yeah.
But I was kind of injured around that time. I ended up doing Great North and Great South, both kind of injured. So learned how to tape a knee up has been my new skill since we last met. And just took it really easy, made it a bit of fun, and decided what I was going to do was just take a photograph and a selfie at every mile marker of
Love
both,
that.
which was really fun because I was doing a bit of Great North, Great South, do them both, and from one end of the country to the other, and do a bit of fundraising for Macmillan because that was a personal charity for me, because of my mum. So that's what I've been up to.
Oh, amazing. Did you have a favourite out of the Great North or the Great South? Am I going to get in trouble for asking that?
I think I've got a real attachment to the Great North
Yeah.
because it's just the atmosphere is just amazing.
Yeah.
And we've got our little crew, you know, now Sue Flynn, myself, hubby Carl, and Karen Lumley, Stella, known to most. We always just share the same place now and stay together, and it's just become like our little special little holiday kind of thing. So that was amazing, and there were so many 40s there.
Yeah.
Running, so it's so good to see everybody. We went and did Lee's Park Run the day before, which was great. So I think that the Great North has got a special place, but it was really lovely to go and do the Great South because that one's actually nearer to me, and do something different, challenge yourself in a different way.
Yeah. I'm doing the Great North for the first time next year.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
You'll love it. You'll love it. You'll love it. But mile 12.
Oh.
And then you see the sea. It's fantastic.
Well, we're going to talk about hills at some point because I think Claire does a lot of them. But
I
Jenna,
was.
how are you?
Yeah, good actually. I've got a bit of a throat thing going on. I think I've just done too much talking this week. Like Mel, working a school, and it's been Nativity Central, and yeah, very tired. But no, I've not really done a huge amount. No events at all since we last spoke.
Yeah.
I've kind of been focusing on parkrun.
Yeah.
And a lot of park runs, trying to collect those alphabet letters. So I've got an I to do, which hopefully I'll get to Ipswich tomorrow. Y, and then the elusive Z, which we don't have obviously in the UK. So that will involve a trip abroad at some point. But just kind of keeping running consistent, really. Still doing the 40 sessions on a Wednesday, trying to do some like longish runs between 6 and 10 miles, but nothing too momentous. I'm still trying to work out what I want to do next year. I've kind of missed the structure, but at the same time enjoyed having the freedom of not being kind of stuck in a plan or stuck in doing something. So we shall see.
Yeah, but I mean, you have been doing a load of park runs all over the place.
Yeah. It's been fun. It's been really good fun. As I say, just exploring different places, exploring different breakfasts. Going with your friends. It's just really good fun.
Oh, good. And Claire, welcome to the show, the Long Run Show. We're so excited to have you. So I guess, do you just want to tell us a bit about you and your kind of running journey and how it started? And yeah, great.
Well, I'm a bit of a rubbish runner actually. I came from a hiking background, so that's where the sort of the mountains and the outdoor kind of thing came from. And so I originally worked on a magazine called Trail, which it's still around. I still write routes for them sometimes, and it's all about hiking in the mountains. And then just before that, I had started doing a bit of running because at university, I drank too much beer and cocktails and everything was very cheap. So I just started to notice a bit of a beer belly coming on. And I thought, I hate running, but I'm going to try and do it because it's the quickest way to sort of burn a few calories. And I actually had a phobia of running after school. We were... running was always really competitive. It was always either in the middle of winter or in the middle of summer. I, being ginger and really pale skin, I would go bright red, and boys would like point and laugh at me because I'd gone bright red. But I would have this like white patch just here, which just looked like a Hitler moustache. It was awful. I just looked a state when I ran, and it just really put me off running. So I was actually phobic of running all through school, and at university. I thought the best way to get over this phobia is, like how if you're scared of spiders, you gradually expose yourself to like a picture of a spider and then a small spider and then a huge tarantula, and within a few days you're letting them all crawl along all over your body, like I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. So I thought, well, I'll do that with running. I'll go out and I'll do a walk in my running stuff, and then I'll do a bit of a jog. And I kind of couch to 5K'd myself before it existed, I think. I just went out and just tried to run, and tried not to, just did it no matter how nervous I was. So I started running. I was working on a walking magazine as a runner, and then the opportunity came up to start trail running magazine, and everyone was like, she does a bit of running, let's make her edit the magazine. So I had to edit the magazine. It was like a project to sort of bring me on in my career, helped by the wonderful Matt Swain, who now teaches journalism at Cardiff. He honestly taught me everything that I know. He was the editor of Trail magazine. So we set that magazine up, and then I started being invited to all these amazing races in far-flung places. Like I've been to Mauritius, been to Wales, been to Israel. I've run a bit of the Otter Trail in South Africa with Ricky Lightfoot. I got to go to loads of different Chamonix to watch the UTMB, and I just got to go to so many places doing all this amazing running that I sort of eventually found myself a runner. And then I stopped working on Trail Running magazine in 2017 and decided to set up my own YouTube channel, which is Wild Ginger Running. And I think it was about the same time as Chris Fordy, because I remember us all meeting at the National Running Show, and we all had, like about 2,000 followers, and there was a Forest of Dean runner there. He was there as well, and everybody's just got bigger and bigger. It's fantastic, and it's just amazing to see the community you've created, because I know for me running wasn't a passion, it was a real phobia, and now it really is. And I just think it's so important what you guys are doing, which is making running really enjoyable and sociable and friendly and supportive.
It's I've got so many questions. That's amazing, by the way. You're absolutely right that we are all about the community, so it's less about what pace you run, how far you can run, how often you run. Like, I'll be honest, we don't care. We don't care if you actually don't want to run. That's okay. Just as important, because Mel will talk about it a bit, I'm sure, but volunteering and all kinds. For us, it's about giving people a place to be part of, and it feeling really inclusive and kind, because there's so much going on in life, right? We just don't know. I read something today, and it was like, we just don't know. Christmas is amazing for lots of people at this time of year, and for lots of people it's really overwhelming and really stressful and really anxiety inducing. And just, if people have a place that they can feel part of a community and part of something, and we give that and we support that. So you started kind of running and getting into trail running because you were in the magazine. What were you doing in Mauritius?
It was something called the Dodo Extreme Trail. So Mauritius is like this tiny little island in the middle of some ocean somewhere. I don't even know where it is. That's really bad, isn't it? And it was a trail through like this kind of forest, like tropical forest, up into the mountains. It was 50K, and it took me 11 hours. That's how hilly it was. And it was, to the tops of these mountains. And every so often you'd see a break in the trees, and you could see the coast and the beautiful scenery. It was like a Caribbean style coast, and it was just amazing. It was just, you just got asked to go on all these things. If you're the editor of a running magazine, people are constantly, like, every week there's somebody saying, can you go here, can you go there, can you cover our race? Everybody wants you to come and do a feature on their race.
And did you see, I know obviously you were working for the magazine, and that's how you got into more trail running after kind of doing your own couch to 5K, but is there a kind of, I guess, like, do you prefer the trails to the road, and is there a reason why you've stuck to it? So how?
Yeah, very much so. So because my background is hiking, like in the mountains, backpacking, being in wild places, that's where I naturally took my running. So I started, like everybody else, I just started like running along the pavements in a pair of jogging bottoms that, when they got wet, flapped and were soggy, and just like I tripped over them. It was like the time of flares, so that was interesting. And I just was like, why am I running along the roads. There's loads of traffic here. I'm breathing in the pollution and I'm having to stop at traffic lights. So I just veered off into Chorlton Water Park because I was at uni in Manchester. So I just sort of like veered off into Chorlton Water Park because that was like the biggest open green space that I could see on the map. And I just decided to just head off on a path and shoot through some woods, along some kind of river, and back out again. And it was amazing. It was so much better because the thing about trail running is it's a bit more of a whole body workout because you're balancing on the uneven terrain, and it's not so much of a repetitive foot strike and muscle usage because on the roads you're just doing the same thing again and again and again, and the impact is very hard as well on the tarmac. But if you take that onto the trails, your body's constantly readjusting to all these like little micro movements as you cover the bumps and lumps in the trail. So it's actually more energetic, so you're burning more calories and you can eat more cake, but also it's a less strain repetitively on your joints and your muscles. So you've actually, apart from if you put your foot down a rabbit hole and sprain your ankle, look where you're going, people. Apart from that, you've got less chance of being injured if you run on trails because it's softer and all the different movements that you're doing.
God, it's amazing.
I kind of had a question because one of the questions I was thinking about asking about that was in terms of strength training was actually, is it the same for trails and sort of ultra stuff, or does it vary from your kind of strength training you would do for running on the road because of that balance and the rough terrain? Are there things you have to do in terms of strength training you wouldn't have to do for the road?
I think it would be largely similar. So any strength training that you do is great. I know now that even the NHS suggest that everybody should do at least 18 minutes of strength training 3 times a week. So that's how important it is, especially as you get older. We just interviewed someone on my channel about that, and it was really, really interesting how important it is. But I think in terms of trails, maybe strengthening the ankles is quite a good one to do. So like you've got your calf raises, you know, get on a step on your stairs and go up and down and up and down. And if you can do also a bent-legged calf raise, single-legged, that's also really good because there's 2 muscles in the calf, the soleus and the gastrocnemius, and the soleus is the one that you isolate if you bend your knee. So that's a really good one to do as well. That's the one I'm doing at the moment to rehab. I went over on my ankle years ago and it's never been the same since. So yeah, stuff like that. And yeah, I suppose a bit more core and upper body strength, I think they'd be pretty similar. I'm sure I'm not a strength and conditioning expert, but I'm sure you could pull out one's for road, one's for trail. But I think all strength training is good strength training in my view. Just get going and do it. And the thing with strength training is to make it hard. So get a really heavy weight so you can only do like 8 reps. If you can do like 15, 20 reps easily, that's not strength training, that's endurance training. So get a big heavy weight, put some books in a backpack, get it on, do some squats, do some lunges, do some calf raises, just do 3 or 5 times to failure, till you can't do it anymore, and that's strength training.
And I guess, like, so you said that you kind of went on a run one day and then you just veered off and went out into the trails and stuff.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like, as a woman, and this is what, like, we spoke about this, I think I kind of touched on it, and we spoke about this a bit last time that we were on as a lady special, which is, have you ever felt unsafe being on your own out there in the middle of nowhere, and how do you overcome that? Because for me, that's quite like, even just running down the river on my own, if it's going to get dark or it's cold, or I mean, I would never dream of doing it on my own now, and I'm so lucky that I've always tend to have people to run with. But how do you feel about that, and how do you overcome that kind of the fear, I guess?
I think in the actual mountains, like in the Lake District, in Wales, in Snowdonia, in Scotland, and to a large extent in the Peak District, in these quite sort of remote mountainous areas, I would be less scared of running alone, or especially in the dark, as it's, you know, winter now. I am scared in woods for no reason other than superstition. I get a bit spooked in woods. But I think I would be scared if I was to run in a city. I live in a really safe little town. It's quite a well-to-do kind of sleepy town, and I genuinely do feel safe running all over the place in my town. But I know that's very much not the case for everybody. And especially if I was going to do some, like, say some urban trail running in Birmingham, I probably would feel safe in the day, but not in the night, probably. And yeah, I'm just not in those situations. But if I was, I don't know what I would do. Like, what do people do? I might just, if the moment I felt uncomfortable, I would either like sprint off, or I would use my instinct. I use the instinct, and if I saw anyone that looked dodgy, I would just run the other way immediately.
Yeah.
And hope that they didn't follow.
Yeah, because I know, like, obviously, Gemma, you've done some ultras, haven't you?
Yeah, well, so I've done Race to the Stones twice. So I did it once where I did it over 2 days. So I did the Saturday 50k, stayed at base camp, and then the Sunday 50k. And then I did it again a couple of years later where I did the 100k straight through, which I found easier than doing it over 2 days. And I loved it. It was fantastic. And in some ways it was, I think I've said to you before, Sabrina, it was easier than doing a road marathon because everything's at a slightly slower pace. Like, you walk the hills, you know, you're not going full pelt all the time. You're using sort of as you say, it's a whole body workout. So you're using different muscles. So it's not that repetitive use on one particular area of your body. And yeah, loved it. Really tempted to go again. Listening to you, Claire, I'm sort of thinking about what I'm going to do next year, and I'm thinking I'm so inspired to get back out on the trails.
Yes, do. And what you just said there is so important for people to hear, because I think people think of like trail running and ultra running and then think, oh my God, that's going to be really hard, when actually it's so much easier. If you're doing, say, a half marathon or a road marathon, you're probably thinking of it in terms of, oh, can I get under 2 hours, or can I get under 4 hours? You know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Puts pressure on yourself. I know I've just done a couple of sort of roady traily half marathons, and I've put that 2 hour pressure on myself as well, which, you know, it's good to have a challenge. But at the same time, if you're doing like 50 miles in the mountains, nobody cares what time you do it in. It's just, can I finish this race? And that's a massive amount of freedom. And I love how you mentioned walking up the hills, because I've been quite scared about the plans that I've got in 2023, just coming back after having Finley. I don't have that same speed that I used to. I wasn't very speedy, but you know, kind of like starting from scratch again. And I just suddenly realized that ultra running should be called ultra hiking, because there's so much hiking involved. It's probably like, for the slower people like me at the back of the pack, probably like 80% actually hiking rather than running, especially if it's a really long one. So I really think if we rebrand ultra running as ultra hiking, loads more people would do it, wouldn't they? It'd be loads easier.
There's lots of yummy food as well.
We run for the food.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And Claire, you just mentioned obviously coming back from running after having Finley. And so how have you found that, like, running after pregnancy? Has your body changed and your training, and how has it impacted you?
Yeah, well, that's a really interesting question, because the first, right at the start, it impacted me in that I couldn't go running because I was really fit. I like ran until a month before he was born, and then I was walking 5 miles a day and then 3 miles a day when I could only manage the 3 miles a day. But I made myself do that. I was really fit when I gave birth, and then as soon as I gave birth, I couldn't really run because I just kept peeing myself because my pelvic floor hadn't tightened back up again. So I had to do like, well, you know, all the exercises, and even now I can go on the trampoline, but not with a full bladder. So I know I really need to work on them, but I can't be bothered. So I'm just hoping that they sort themselves out. I'm sure that's not how you should address it. But yeah, so immediately after the birth, like, running was out of question. Walking was absolutely fine. Cycling, absolutely fine. 4 months later, I could run around the garden, and I was so thrilled. I ran around the garden 5 times, and I was like, oh, I'm running again. And then I ran 10 times around the garden, then 20 times around the garden, and then I ran a mile around the block. And I just, again, like the couch to 5k thing, I just gradually picked it up again, walked when I needed to, ran when I could, and had lots. I planned my runs around loos that I knew of, or places like with bushes where I knew I could go. So that was how I managed that. The main thing I have found after having a kid is this should just totally blooming knackered. So it's not the lack of time for fitting it in, I find. It's sometimes I'm just exhausted. So then you come back to this ultra running is hiking, because no matter how exhausted you are, you can most of the time do a little walk. So if you just get yourself in your running stuff and you go on a walk, if you carry on walking, then fine, you've still got out for 3 or 5 miles, whatever. But if you kind of perk yourself up with the fresh air as you get outside and you do feel like you can pop into a run, then wearing that sports bra has been useful. So that is my advice to anybody who's had kids and is just exhausted. I have time to fit it in, because I mean, if I can scroll for half an hour on Instagram, or if I can watch an hour of telly, of course I've got time, but it's just, you're just exhausted. I don't know how else to describe it. You get brain fog, you just want to just like every fiber of your being just wants to hit the pillow. That's been the hardest thing for me, I'm finding.
And
I think that's what, I was going to say, the beauty of running though is that you can just, I mean, that's why I took up running after I had children. So I wasn't a runner beforehand. And like you said earlier, I think I did the Couch to 5K before it even existed. But it was about finding an exercise that it fits around the children, because it's so flexible, and you might be exhausted, but all you have to think about is getting your trainers on and getting out the door. You don't think, I've got to get in the car to go to the gym, or I've got to pack the swim stuff, or get the bike out the shed. It's a very sort of easy exercise to do when you've got small children.
Yeah, and you can combine it with them. Like I do parkrun with Finley most Saturdays, not tomorrow because it's really cold, and also he's at my parents' house at the moment, which is why I'm able to do this. and so you can combine the running with the buggy, which you can do with biking. I have got a bike trailer as well, but they're not very, very accessible, and they're sort of back there, and you know, if the roads aren't very good around where you are, it's just all a bit hit and miss. But running you can combine with them. And also I do stuff like I take him to nursery. So he's on a little balance bike now, he's nearly 2, and he balance bikes down to nursery, and then I put his bike, like hide it by the prams, and then I go on a run, and then I pick up his bike and I walk home. So you can sort of combine it in all these ingenious ways, I find. It's so easy.
My boys all play football, so that's what I used to do, drop them off, go for a run, pick them up.
Perfect. And if you're always in your running stuff, like people look at you like you're a mad person, but around here in Stamford, quite a lot of people walk around in like yoga leisure wear stuff, so you don't feel out of place.
And where you were saying that obviously after having a child that your bladder basically, and Mel, I don't think you'll mind me saying, because we spoke about this last time.
Absolutely.
We were on talking about that. Are there any products that you found that you recommend? Because had a chat yesterday or something to Mel and Gemma, and I was saying, like, for me, the thought of going out, like, even forget having a child necessarily or your bladder, but there's a time of the month and you're going to go out into the trails, like, there's so much to think about, isn't there? What you've got to take, where are you going to go to the toilet, and how do you do all that?
Well, I've actually just started using a moon cup, which is it's a menstrual cup. It's made of silicone, and it looks like a tulip with a little thing, little plastic thing coming down from it, so you can pull it out. So I've started using that, which has been really good. It leaks a bit because, well, I don't know if it's just because I have quite a heavy flow some days. So I tend to use it with some period pants, like just like a light to moderate flow period pant, and that just like gets any slight leakage that happens. I would probably do that with a tampon as well. But it's really cool because you can just empty it out, and then you can wipe it with a wet wipe if you want, and then just pop it back in. But I would always carry everything out with you, whatever you're using, like tissue paper, even if you just go for a wee. I think I would just, like take a nappy bag or a dog poo bag. Nappy bags, probably sometimes they get a fragranced one, so that can be nicer. But I would just dedicate one pocket of your little running pack to that, or one pocket of your jacket to that little bag, just as you would for a dog pick up its poo. You want to like take out all your loo paper and stuff. And then the other thing is finding places to go for a wee, I suppose, isn't it? I'm really like, well, just don't look, everyone, I'm going for a wee, and I just say, don't look, it's your own fault if you look. But obviously not everybody is as gung-ho about it, so if you can take a friend to keep watch, that's good.
I did the Inca Trail a few years ago, and quite a few years ago now, walking long before I could run. I was very unhealthy then, but they told us to take a little Ziploc bag, because obviously on Link Patrol you leave nothing behind apart from your footprints. And they said, you know, you had to pop everything that you used on the trail, walking and hiking, into these Ziploc bags and get rid of them once you were finished.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I'd never thought about nappy bags or like dog bags and stuff. So yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Right, shall we? We're going to go to the lightning round actually, and then we'll come back and there's loads more to talk about. So have we got the lightning round intro? We have got tech support in the background, so I'm hoping it's about questions. And then Mel's going to take over and ask the questions to Claire. Should come.
Hi Claire. So this is the lightning round. Don't worry, you will know all the answers to all the questions that I'm going to ask. Just first thing that pops into your head, it's all about running. So we'll get started. First one, pre-race breakfast.
Porridge, always.
That tends to be a popular answer. Favourite ultra race or ultra distance? Have you got a favourite?
Oh, at the moment, the Manx Mountain Marathon 50k. So 50k is my favourite ultra because it's only just an ultra, but you can still call it an ultra.
Fabulous. Normal pants or running pants?
Oh, running pants for sure. I've got some Patagonia ones that have lasted me probably a decade and still going strong.
Amazing. Post-race celebration drink, would it be a G&T or a Prosecco?
A non-alcoholic beer for me, possibly topped up with lemonade to make it into a shandy. I stopped drinking just recently after Cocktail Gate.
my husband quite likes those non-alcoholic beers, actually. They're good now, yeah. Race nutrition, do you go for sort of gels and those mixes, or you're a real food girl?
A real food, definitely on the ultras, on the long runs. But I have experienced Morton gels recently, and they are the best gels I've ever had because they're not really gels, they're like a jelly thing.
Oh, right, cool. I might have to look out for those. Shorts or skorts?
Oh, do you know what? I've got a pair of skort things. They're like long, like little shorts, but then they've got like a little skirt around them. So yeah, I like a skort.
Yeah, I've started to use those with the pockets and things, and quite handy to pop everything into.
Gotta have pockets.
Favourite brand of running bra?
Oh, well, Panache at the moment, because you can wear them all day. I've got one on now and they're so comfy, and then you can clip the back together into race mode and then you're off.
Oh, fantastic. Do you run with headphones or without headphones?
I run with headphones, but always with these Aftershokz Aeropex type headphones, the bone conduction headphones, so that I can hear everything as well.
Yeah, they're good for safety, aren't they? Because you can hear, I know you're out on the trails, but for me, when I'm out road or around the park, I can hear who's coming round.
Definitely.
Thinking of trails and running at night and things like that, head torch or chest torch?
Oh, I've only ever used a head torch. I've used loads of head torches in my time, but no chest torch, because with that you can look at where you want to go. Where the chest, you've got to turn your whole body.
And do you prefer running the night trail or the day trail?
Day. I do like to run in the morning, get it done, relax for the rest of the day.
And do you have a bucket list sort of international ultra you would like to do?
Oh, I'd really love to run the UTMB, that's the Ultra Trail of Mont Blanc. But I don't know if I'd actually like to run the race, because it's 100 miles and I would be going through 2 nights of running and you can't really see the view. So I'd love to do that over 6 days, like 20 miles a day, that kind of thing. So that is the plan for 2024.
Oh, sounds amazing. And last question, I heard you said you do park run. So park run, a flat one or a hilly one?
Oh, definitely a hilly one.
Thank you so much. That's the end of the lightning round.
Thank you, Mel.
Thank you. Oh God, that was a great lightning round. Actually, I was thinking about all my answers to questions. Morton gels, I'm with you. They're brilliant, but you do have to take out a new mortgage because they are the more expensive.
I'm just working my way through all the free samples that have been sent, and then after that I will have to consider actually buying some.
Yeah. I was really lucky. One of my friends works for a sports team, and when I did London a year ago, I got given a load of free stuff, and they were incredible. But yeah. All right. So you kind of started to touch upon it in all of you, well, in the lightning round. But I'd like to have a think, like to talk to you actually about what's been really good this year, and then about next year as well. So if you had to think back, obviously looking back at the last year, what's been your kind of your achievement, or the thing you look back on and go, that was a great thing that you're really pleased with? So Gemma, let's start with you.
I enjoyed Edinburgh. I had a really lovely time in Edinburgh. I know some of you didn't, but I just enjoyed it. It was I had a good run. Wasn't my fastest, but I just smiled all the way around. But I think for me, it was I volunteered at the London Marathon. It was my first volunteering experience, and it was just the best day. Not only was it just really, really good fun being with the 40 team, but just supporting those other runners. And especially London, when you can't have your friends and family at the start line, and it's the start area, there's a lot of runners there that are on their own, and it might be their first marathon, and you can see like the anxiety on their face, and just being able to kind of calm their nerves and give them that sort of that last little bit of support. It was really rewarding, and I'm definitely going to be doing some more volunteering next year. So that definitely was the highlight for me, I think, this year.
Cool. Go on, Mel.
So my running has been a bit pants this year, if I kind of sum that up, just because I did London Marathon the year before, rested a bit, got conned into running up and down Snowdon. Always a lot of walking up and running down, and messed money up a bit. And it's just been, I think, that sort of down thing from having done London. So my big highlight has been, I think, the volunteering. I've done every London Marathon event. So I've done the big half, we've done the Vitality, and the London Marathon as well, just supporting runners. And that has just been so lovely to give back this year. And just like Gemma said, that opportunity, seeing other 40s who are at the start line, and because they didn't have family there, just sort of like calming their nerves down, saying, look, I did it last year, if I can get round, you can get round, was absolutely fantastic. And I just enjoyed the volunteering so much. And I'm hoping that I'm up to my 91, I think it is, of parkrun volunteers. So I've got a few to go. So hopefully breaking into the beginning of next year, I will be wearing that 100 volunteer t-shirt. So we're getting there.
That is incredible. To volunteer nearly 100 times there's one thing, getting up and going out for a run, right, which we know is hard, especially at this time of the year when it's cold and it's dark and everything else. But to get up and give your time back to other people, to help them, whether it be at parkrun volunteering, whether it be at these events, I think is a huge achievement. And just, yeah, what a lovely thing to do. So, and Claire, actually, just something before we get to kind of what's been the highlight of your year. Mel just touched on something, which was obviously running up and down Snowdon, and you obviously do a lot of hills. Running downhill can be really difficult and can hurt, actually, your knees and your ankles and all sorts. Have you got any tips for that coming downhill?
Yeah, definitely. If it's hurting, it might be because you're not relaxing enough. So it's good to sort of let yourself go a little bit and kind of go with the flow when you go downhill. So I would advise looking probably about kind of 2 meters in front of you. You might find that you kind of like concentrating really hard and hunched up with your shoulders like that and looking right down at your feet. Your feet will actually remember what they're doing, even if you've looked at it 2 meters ahead. So keep looking ahead, look far up the trail, and then a bit closer towards your feet, kind of like 1 meter, 2 meters away, and sort of keep adjusting your gaze like that, and your feet will remember, and it will help you to pick a better line. And just relax as well. Kind of just a bit like a ballerina, kind of glide down the hill. And if it's too steep, you can always put in some zigzags of your own making. So you can go a bit like skiing, left and right. And if you do feel like you're really tensing up, just slow down and just stop and just go and just kind of scrunch up your shoulders and then let it all go, because then you'll realize what was tense and what was not tense. And just try to enjoy it a little bit. You can actually practice running downhill. If you find a really nice easy grassy slope, practice letting yourself go and relaxing on that grassy slope, because it doesn't matter if you fall over on the grass. It's when the rocks come that is a bit more painful. But just go with the flow. And it's good, probably, that I find that if you've got a good pair of trail running shoes, that can help with going downhill, because you need to have a shoe which is quite grippy, so that if there's muddy patches and things like that, you won't just go skating, and that gives you much more confidence. So if you get yourself a kind of a grippy pair of trail running shoes, then you'll feel a lot more confident in going downhill with ease.
Some great advice, because I think everybody, when they think about running hills, everyone concentrates on actually how am I going to get up the hill, rather than how am I going to get down the hill safely as well. We all worry about getting up the hill and how am I going to do that, and it's going to be awful, but coming down is just as important. So
yeah, definitely. You can pick off a lot of people in the race if you're quite good with your downhill, if you're quite confident.
Yeah. Cool. And so I guess for you, Claire, what was 2022 look like, and what was the highlight for you?
Oh, well, the highlight for me was the Rutland Water Half Marathon, because I just really enjoyed it. Like Gemma and Mel were saying, that they had such good experiences and really enjoyed themselves at certain races that they did last year. I'm not as nice as them. I've volunteered for like 0 events, but I am going to marshal at our races Valentine's 30K here in Stamford in February. So I will be doing that. I'm not a total Scrooge. So yeah, I really enjoyed that race because it was an out and back. It was really funny one. You start in at the start, and then you go out and back one way, and then you go out and back the other way as well. So you pass the start a few times and there's people cheering, but you could see everybody running, all the elites came towards you, and then as you were going out and back the other way, all the slower marathon runners were coming towards you. And I was just, because I get really excited in races, and I hadn't done one for ages. It was like my first actual proper race that I trained for since Finley was born. And so I just started going, oh, hi to like everyone. I must have been like really weird and annoying. Some people were like, but most people were like, oh, hi, thank you, like that. And it was just really nice to see everyone there. And I got under 2 hours, even though it's really hilly. I got under 2 hours by about 5 seconds or 15, I think it was 15 seconds. So I was just really, really proud. And I got back home, I was like to my husband, Finley was napping, and my husband just was like, oh my God, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And he was like, oh okay. It's like full assault of hyperactive Claire, because I just got such a high. Because when you do running all the time, you don't get that runner's high all the time. Well, I don't. I only get it when I really push myself, and that was, I did really push myself. I made a real effort, but I also found it really enjoyable. So I was just really, I just loved that.
Oh, that's great. And we've had a question coming actually from Robert Smith, which is on the screen. But he says, after 3 kids, my wife has started running again, which is amazing. And he said that she's complained of a nagging hip pain. She wanted to know if any of the ladies have had any experience with this. So just before we answer that, I just want to be clear, none of us are doctors. So I would say, please do go and get checked by a medical professional, obviously. But guys that have had, you guys, well, we've all had children, but have any of you had that hip pain or ever experienced anything like that?
I haven't, but my hubby has. So I don't think it's necessarily a ladies thing. And I think with anything, wherever you feel the pain, often it's usually something else that's in a different area that's causing it. So it's really, really important to go and see a physio to find out what the actual cause is, because it's going to be some kind of imbalance somewhere, or you're putting stress on a different joint that then is putting the focus on the hip. And that's what he's found out when he's had his hip issues. It's always been somewhere else in his body that's caused that.
Yeah, it could be a tightness somewhere, couldn't it? I do, if I run a long way, I do, so like in the past I have suffered with pain as if somebody is sticking a hot poker into either side of my outer hip. I think that's more to do with probably the glute muscles than anything else, but I haven't had anything sort of different after pregnancy. So I would, like Mel said, definitely get it checked out by a physio, and if you can, go to like a specialist ladies physio. I got checked out by a specialist women's physio after giving birth, and they check like everything to do with the female anatomy in that area. So that could be worth getting like a mummy MOT or something.
Yeah, some great advice.
And I think also, if she has just started running again after having children, she had quite a bit of time off. Like I say, it could just be that tightness of where things haven't been moving for so long. I mean, I know I had a bit of hip niggle back in January.
Yeah.
And I think that was just from, and it wasn't, I don't think anything to do with me having children, because my children are a lot older now. But I think it was actually a lapped race that we'd done that had a downhill section. But I probably went a little bit too fast down that downhill, and just kind of say I was probably tight in the glutes, and it just put things a little bit out of line. But yeah, definitely get it checked out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, thank you. That's great advice on that, actually. And also, I just wanted to answer something, because this made me laugh when it came up. Someone said, admin is a unique name. Where does it come from? It's not my name. My name's Sabrina. It's a nickname that I got from Chris and the guys, because I spend probably 98% of the time that I'm with them organising them and doing admin stuff. So it's a nickname, in case anyone wonders why it says that. But everyone that the people that know me in this community now will know me as that, because I think they've all forgotten my actual name. Anyway, so obviously some great stuff there last year, and I guess we're at that time now where we go, right, okay, what does next year start to look like? Because the race season starts to come up again quickly, and all the big events, and whether there's ultras or marathons and halves and all of that kind of stuff. But what are you guys looking forward to next year? What are you thinking about doing, and what are you excited about? So Mel, let's start with you.
Well, obviously, I'm really excited about the start of the year and my birthday week, I'm going to call it. We're starting it with the Great Yarmouth trip, which is going to be fantastic, to do one of the hardest park runs in the hardest month, which Carolyn and Hayden and that have all been organising. So there's going to be so many of us 40s there.
Mel, sorry. Just going to tell Claire and anyone that doesn't know. So we are going to, well, the club is going, and as Mel said, they've been organising. I think there's some coaches going, but it's a Great Yarmouth Park Run on the 14th of Jan. That's right, isn't it? Saturday, which is on a beach in the freezing cold, and the guys are heading down there to run 5K. So Claire, if you are free and fancy coming to Great Yarmouth on the 14th of Jan,
I'm just Googling where Great Yarmouth is.
It's on the coast, isn't it? But sorry, Mel, I mean to interrupt you.
Near Norwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. And some people are going to go in and I think have a bit of a dip in the sea as well, apparently. Not for me, but I will be in my dry robe anyway. And then obviously we've got the running show at the other end of that week. Yes. Where I'm going to take Carl's credit card and get him to buy my birthday present. So I'm going to be going around checking out all the best deals, the freebies, and obviously taking part in the shakeout run, which is going to be fantastic. It's going to be so good if we get so many 40s to that. It would just be such a fun thing to do. So really excited about those. And obviously lots of the volunteering. The other thing I'm looking forward to is in the summer, there's a group of us girlies from the 40s who've over the few years have done the Beat the Boat down at Windsor, and it's just run by a little local running club down there, and they have there's beer and prosecco stops along the way. I have to say, the first year I did it, I was feeling so sick I didn't have any of the beer or prosecco, and I was like, I hate trail, I'm never doing trail again, ever. Sign-ups come for the next one. Signed up. We do it in costume. So the first year we went as pirates, and we've been the poster girls for it. Last year we were sailors, and this year we're going mermaids. So watch out for those shells printed out on running tops, and all the various Tickaboo mermaid shorts that are out there are being bought up by us, ready to be able to wear. So that should be really, really fun, and we're hoping to get as many, not just our normal group of ladies, but anybody from the 4D community wants to come and join us down at Windsor for that. Be amazing. And it's not an expensive race, and you can bring your family down. They can get on a boat, and the whole thing is the boat goes off and you have to get back. You say what time roughly you'll do, and you have to get in before the boat gets back. Unfortunately, all the boats always beat me, but you know, it's all about the fun of it and being with the community. It's such a fun event.
Yeah, who cares about the boat? It's about doing something.
Prosecco and beer on the way round.
Yeah. And Gemma, what about you? I know you said you're still thinking about next year, but what are you thinking?
So I do every year. I'd normally do a marathon, a road marathon somewhere, and I don't know. I think I've done 12 now. I'm still not feeling it yet. We'll see.
12 is incredible. Can I just say that you say it so like in this like really like, I'm 12 now, and I'm like 12.
Yeah, but it's all relative, isn't it? Some people have done over 100 and things, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to that badly. I'm sure when I sort of see everyone start training, for Manchester. Thanks, Chris. I've done Manchester though. I just feel like I want to do something different. And I have done an ultra before, but I think, that was a while ago. So maybe do I do a different one, or just, some trail running. I'm really looking forward to, like Mel said, I'll be joining the Great Yarmouth Massive in January. And like Mel, it's my birthday weekend as well. So really looking forward to that. And doing lots more different park runs, hopefully completing the Alphabet Challenge. I should also get my 250th park run done next year as well, I think in the summer.
Yeah.
All going well. So we'll see. I'm also possibly thinking about doing a 24-hour event, but doing it solo.
Yeah.
And just seeing how much mileage I can cover.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know Gemma as well as I do, Gemma's an absolute machine, by the way, right? She will just keep going, and she talks the whole way. I've done 10-mile runs with Gemma, and I'm like, I'm done now. Like, this is just, when you hit that wall and you're just like, this is awful, right? At mile 17, and I'm like, I just don't want to do anymore. And Gemma's like plodding along next to you, smile on her face, like, oh, we're nearly there. It's fine. And I'm like, how have you still got this energy? It doesn't matter how long the run is, what pace you're going. Gemma will just go at the pace, and she'll just carry on. So I think you'll be incredible at a 24-hour one, because I think that you'll just get into your own kind of like, okay, I'll just go again and I'll go again. But also, I remember having a coaching call with Chris earlier this year, and even though I'm a qualified coach, I still get someone else to coach me. And he said, you just need to be a bit more like Gemma. Gemma just doesn't worry about it. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right, because I worry so much. And Gemma just goes, well, it is what it is.
But you know what? Time has never been my goal. I've never been that kind of outcome based. It's always been about enjoying the run, enjoying the process. I don't necessarily want to do a marathon again, but I don't mind training for a marathon, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and as I say, in all my personal bests have all come on days where I've just run and it's just happened.
Yeah.
So don't worry, it's all just running.
Yeah. And Claire, what about you? What does next year hold?
Well, hopefully seeing Gemma at a trail event. Why don't you do a trail marathon, Gemma? Like,
where would you suggest?
A marathon. Well, come to the Isle of Man and do 30 miles in the Isle of Man with me on the Manx Mountain Marathon. That's a really good one. Or you could try some of the races that I first started trail running at, which is the Lakeland Trails. They're in the Lake District, and they do anything from like 10 miles, but there's also half marathons, and there's an ultra as well. Maverick races are also really good. I would recommend those. Endurance Life races are also really good. Lots of different distances they have. So any of those I would recommend. Yeah, be cool.
Excellent. My husband does a lot of wild camping in the Lake District, so maybe I can team up with that.
Yeah, that would be great. They're really family friendly, the Lakeland Trails events as well. They've got bouncy castles, ice cream, and drumming bands at the end and the start. It's really, really good atmosphere.
I'm sold at ice cream.
Yeah, I was like, I've got no interest in doing an ultra, but if there's an ice cream van there, that sounds more interesting.
Yeah. Maybe they had the van and I just had to run behind it to get my ice cream. I'd do that.
Or maybe we'll get a volley squad there by the ice cream van.
Yes.
There we go.
Now we've got it.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing that I was going to ask is, obviously it is Christmas in just over a week, isn't it? Which is mad. Because I can't believe we've got to Christmas. It's another year that's just flown by. But what's on your running wish list for Christmas? Who wants to go first? Mel, you must have some stuff because you're already eyeing up the National Running Show. So go on.
I've gone for, but shh, I hope Carl's not watching the rerun of this. I've updated our running vest things. The
hydration vest.
But not the full on hydration vest. The one that flips down normally. Free train, that's the one. So we've got the normal flip down ones because they're great just for running around the roads locally. But I've gone for the zip up one in the night stuff. With the little thing there, so we've got one of those. But the other thing we've gone slightly off running. We've gone for the bike stand for changing things because it's Ride 100 next year. So we've signed up because we're chasing that London Classics. So I've got to get on my bike next year. So I'm actually more bike stuff than running stuff this year, but I will be looking for extra little bits. But the free train vest would be good.
Yeah, I want one of those actually. And the Ride 100, have you done the Serpentine already, or is that next then once you've done this?
That's the next thing. Obviously, we would love to be able to get it in next year, but because obviously with the Queen's funeral and everything and the fact that it got cancelled this year means everyone's going to be rolling over. So it's going to be quite hard. It'd be really nice to do it within the year. But we'll see. If not, we'll do it the following year. I mean, we've already got the dry robes.
Yeah.
To be honest, I did wonder. I do have my 3-mile badge from when I was 13 years old and did swimming at school. So I did wonder if I could trade that in as a check-in.
Yeah.
I've still got it in the loft.
Yeah. Get what I used to have fun stitched onto my swimming costume or on a towel and stuff. Definitely get that out and see if you can trade that in. And Gemma, what about you? What's on your running wish list? What would you want?
Well, we sort of kind of agreed this year we're not really doing presents, although I think my husband's bought himself a coffee machine, so we'll see about that. But yeah, I'm trying not to. I've got so much stuff I don't need, but now I'm thinking maybe I need to get myself a new pair of trail running shoes. So I think that's on the list.
Yeah, well, if you're going to do the Lake District or wherever it is with Claire, who's doing loads of them next year, you're going to need a pair of those. So yeah. And Claire, what about you? What would be your one thing on the wish list?
Well, I test gear, so I like every day is Christmas Day for me because there's always something at the door, like a pair of shoes, like the ones behind me that I need to test. But I need to sort out my shoes this year because I want to do a couple of 50Ks and then potentially 100 miles. I've not done a 100-mile race before. I've got my eye on the Montaigne Lakeland 100. So it's a bit of a big one for a first one, but I just thought it's a hike. I could just do a hike. And then I really quite fancy the Dragon's Back race, but the hatchling version, which is the half. You just do half of whatever it is a day. So it's like 20 miles a day. And I've kind of worked out that if I'm fully fit, 20 miles a day is quite, it's like quite a doable thing and it's enjoyable. It's a challenge that's enjoyable for me. So I need to get my shoes sorted for that because I've got really wide feet. So I've been using Outras, with the dedicated wide fit. Yeah. But there's 0 drop, which means like there's no difference from heel to toe. Most running shoes have a bit of a stack under the heel. And there's no difference. There's padding, but no difference. So it's just really trying to work out if I can use 0 drop shoes or maybe put an insert in those Ultra shoes, or just are they going to be okay for doing all this like high mileage. So I'm trying. Basically, I've got to talk with my coach because, like you, I'm a qualified running coach, but I have a coach as well. So I'm going to talk to my coach in early January, just ask him whether all these races is too much for 1 year, and also ask him what little training can I get away with? What's the least I can do to get around races in the allotted time, because that's all I want to do. I want to enjoy them. And I was thinking about some races that I've DNF'd in the past. I need to make a list actually of all the reasons why, and the main reason was pain. Like I had really bad foot pain because my little toe was being squished under my other toes, so I need to buy a bigger pair of shoes and nail my footwear choice. And just work out what footwear I need, because that was the main thing. It was the feet that hurt, the blisters.
Yeah. And how did that, when you've DNF'd, how did that feel like mentally? How did you overcome that going to the next?
I cried. It was the Cape Wrath Ultra. So it was 250 miles over 8 days in Scotland. So I did the first 4 days, and the last day, the 4th day, was really hard. It was like 20 miles the first day, 35 35 miles the second day, 42 miles the third day, and then 22 miles for the fourth day for a rest. And I had such bad blisters in between my toes because my feet had massively swollen up, and I just really wasn't enjoying it. And like, if my life had depended on it, I could have continued. If somebody else that I loved life depended on it, I could have continued. But I just thought, no, this is ridiculous. I don't want to see the world in this way. I don't want to be moaning to the person I'm with about my pain whilst there's this beautiful scenery all around me. That's really ungrateful. I don't have to be here. I'm not a refugee fleeing persecution. I should just quit. And I had 3 days off, got my feet sorted out, and then I did the last day. And so I walked all the way from this amazing beach called Sandwood Bay that you can only get to by walking. It's a couple of miles away from the nearest town. You can't drive there. So I walked all the way across this beach, over this really undulating coastline to Cape Wrath, which is the far northwesterly point of Scotland. And that was the bit that I really wanted to do. So for me, I had a really great time on the race, but it took me actually a year to edit the film about the race because I felt ashamed for DNFing. And there's stuff on my YouTube channel about the Cape Wrath Ultra. I've called the film How Not to Do the Cape Wrath Ultra. And yeah, I've done like little presentations about it and how DNF, it shouldn't be called Did Not Finish. It should be called Did Not Fail, because you learn the most when you DNF stuff. And like so many ultra runners DNF, like if they have stomach problems and aren't going to be competitive, they drop out because they don't want to tire themselves out on a race where, you know, they're not going to be on the podium. So why should we be ashamed if we DNF the odd race? I still had a really nice time from my point of view, but it was really gutting not to get like a big medal at the end. There was a big ceremony and everyone got to go up on the stage and get their medals, and I was just sat there like, well done everyone, really great, really glad for you. But yeah, so that's why I'm going to do the Dragon's Back hatchling, which is the half version, because I think that doing half of that Cape Wrath Ultra experience would have been good for me personally. Yeah.
Well, amazing, and good luck with that. We have we've hit an hour, which is mad because it just doesn't feel like we've been here very long. But so we'll wrap up. But I wanted to say thank you very much, Gemma. Mel, obviously lovely to have you on again, and Claire for joining us. Do you want to give a shout out to your socials as well, just before we go?
My socials. Oh yes, of course. And I want to do a shout out to Tadwers Cantwell, who is watching now, and he's just written, hi Claire, or he or she, I don't know, they. I don't know what that name is. I've never heard of it before. But yes, hi to you, Tad. It's great to see you watching live on 4D's running channel too. But mine is Wild Ginger Running. So just if you want to know like anything about gear, I've written a book as well. It's called The Ultimate Trail Running Handbook, so you can always buy that to find out more about trail running. But if you want to know more about trail running and ultra running, and you want to know more about gear like head torches, waterproofs, backpacks, that kind of thing, just Google Wild Ginger Running backpacks, and it should come up with like all the films that I've done on it. So my channel's just called Wild Ginger Running, Instagram's Wild Ginger Running, everything's Wild Ginger Running. Google it should come up. It's like a million films now.
Thank you. Well, look, thank you so much for joining us and for being on this evening. Obviously, thank you again to Skechers for sponsoring us. Thank you again to the boys for letting us take over again, which has been great. And also just a shout out to say, if you want to contact us, like I said at the beginning, 4druns.com/long run to get in contact with us. And also, obviously, the running community, so please do join that on Facebook. And there is a long run page on Facebook now as well, and Instagram, so guys do click follow on those as well. Next week there is we've pre-recorded actually because it's the night before Christmas Eve and people are all over the place, so we're going to be doing a look back at 2022 with the boys, which is brilliant. So do have a watch of that. Please do listen on all of the usual channels, so Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all of that. It will be up there later this evening. And ladies, we will see you again soon. So thank you very much. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Sabrina.
Bye-bye.